if you were to enter the elevator with someone and you have 2 minutes, what would you say to the person if they asked you, oh, you wrote a chapter in a book? What is it? Does the evidence support universal common ancestry? Tell me about it.
Well, I don't usually talk to people in elevators, so I don't know what I would say in an elevator. But, I guess right. if I was on like forced to have a conversation with somebody, then I would say that, look, evolutionary biologists will often say that there are multiple lines of independent evidence that provide sort of this cumulative case for common ancestry. But when you actually look at these different lines of evidence, whether it's biogeography, fossils, DNA and anatomical phylogenetic trees, and embryology, the evidence actually contradicts the predictions of common ancestry. So in biogeography, we see species having to raft across vast oceans in order to preserve common descent. In paleontology, we see this pattern of abrupt appearance and explosions in the fossil record rather than the sort of gradual change that was predicted by Darwin's idea of descent with modification. With molecular and morphological phylogenetic trees, we see that we have trees will commonly conflict with one another, which reflects the fact that a lot of the data simply is not distributed in a tree-like pattern. You cannot fit the data into a tree. And the assumption that similarity reflects common ancestry fails constantly when you're constructing these phylogenetic trees. And then with embryology, I would say that, well, it's been predicted that organisms started off development very similarly, but actually when you look at vertebrate embryos, there are wide differences in the early stages of vertebrate embryos. And the response from some evolutionary scientists here has been quite amusing because they said, well, fine, maybe evolutionary biology predicts similarities between vertebrate embryos, but I think it also predicts, they would say it also predicts differences. So it's okay that there are these differences. It doesn't just predict similarities, it also predicts differences. And then the response from a Darwin skeptic or a common descent skeptic would be, okay, fine. So you're saying that your theory predicts both similarities and differences. What does your theory actually predict? Does your theory make any useful, testable predictions? Or is it was that old adage that you may have heard before that the theory that explains everything actually explains nothing?
That reminds me of The Incredibles, where Dash hears something from his mom who says, everyone's super or something like that. And his response is to say, which means no one's super.
Exactly. I mean, basically, every piece of data in common ancestry gets a participation trophy because everything is super. Okay. Everything points for common ancestry, whether it does or not. And so at the end of the day, you have to ask the question, really, what does this theory predict? So what I would say is what's really going on here is that common ancestry was a robust theory. Okay. It's been contradicted by a lot of data. Okay. And as a result of those contradictions, biologists were given a choice. They could either reject common ancestry or they could change the theory, change its predictions, and sort of turn it into an unfalsifiable, untestable theory, which could not be falsified by the data. Okay. They chose the option B, basically. They chose the second option. Rather than acknowledging that their theory is challenged by a lot of data, they've decided to treat common ancestry in sort of an unfalsifiable manner, where no matter what the evidence is, they cannot refute it. And this basically, unfortunately, allows us to no longer treat common ancestry like a scientific theory. But if we do treat it like a science, we ask, well, what does the evidence on its face say? What does common ancestry predict? A lot of data contradicts the theory.
Okay. I think in Incredibles, it might actually be special. So if all the evidence is special for supporting universal common descent, then none of it's actually special.
Thank you for listening. Credible Faith is a global missions-minded apologetics ministry with content available in 7 different languages across 7 websites: German, Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. If you would like to support the global apologetics work of Credible Faith, go to crediblefaith.org and click on the donate icon. If you would like me to give an apologetics workshop or participate in a debate at your university, or if you would like me to give a Great Commission missions conference or apologetics conference at your church, get in touch with me through the Contact Us section of the Credible Faith website. You can also submit a request through the website to get Credible Faith's monthly email. If you are a native speaker of Russian, German, Italian, French, Spanish, or Portuguese, and if you notice that an essay from the English website is not available on the Credible Faith website for your language, feel free to get in touch with me about translating the essay, and I would read through your translated material for quality control and the desire to see content from the essay made available in your language. Thank you for listening, and have a great night.